That was very foolish, Mr. Bond.
Hey, Glue Troopers, Max and Max's Models here, and I just got back from celebrating my 20th anniversary, and today's my birthday. Yay, birthday! We went and spent the night in the hotel where we first honeymooned, which was the Casa Monica in St. Augustine. And when we were there, I saw this Manly Hobbies. Had to check it out. Turned out to be mostly swords and stuff like that. So then it was off to a wonderful lunch at Columbia's. And then we went, while we were waiting for our hotel room to come available, to the Frisky Cat Cafe, where the cats were all thoroughly excited to see us. One of them promptly staked its claim to me. This is my human. The rest of you stay away. And I spent the next half hour basically being a human petting machine, which most of the cats clearly were feeling completely left out and so bothered. After the outro, there will be a completely unapologetic cat video, and this time, yes, it is AI music, but it's the only way I could keep from getting popped. So when that was over, we decided to do a little bit of the tourist thing, went over to the St. Augustine Lighthouse, and that was pretty interesting. A lot of great artifacts on display, including some old cannon and stuff like that. And we took pictures in a little museum when you go in there, just photos of the lighthouse. At the time, I didn't realize how old it was, and there's some great pictures of it. So I built this model lighthouse and I patterned the paint scheme somewhat after it. And once you get in there and start reading all the placards, you realize just how much history there is here. The buildings, several of them, different stuff. One of the things they do is they actually make real boats here using the old school techniques. These boats are sold and raffled and auctioned off to help keep the museum funded. And it's just like building wooden model boats on a larger scale. You see a lot of the same basic techniques. This is probably, in many ways, kind of the single most impressive thing because the old school techniques are still being used along with modern equipment. And you don't appreciate how much goes into even building a small boat like that till you look at all this and look at all the different kinds of cuts and everything. You realize that being a boatwright or a shipwright is pretty impressive and thorough trade. And I imagine some of these techniques go back to the days of the Vikings. But I really enjoyed that. They weren't working there when I was there, but they leave all the equipment laid out so you can see it. And that's something. And when they're done, it makes for a very impressive project. Very impressive boats. So that was maybe my favorite part. They had the old Coast Guard barracks is turned into their World War II era museum, where they have a lot of artifacts on display and artwork and stuff, including some old uniform parts and things like that. They also have a large map of all the sinkings off of the local area and how the military responded to that. I should add that all these buildings are original. None of them were built for the museum. They were the actual Coast Guard barracks. Another building had the history of the place and a lot of great model ships. Most of them were ones I was familiar with, like the Cuddy Sark. And the craftsmanship, as you would expect on museum models, was most impressive. Most of these ships had some sort of relationship to the local area, the lighthouse. Florida Skipjack, for example, obviously was a very common type of boat in this area. I think it's similar to the ones that they make at the Heritage Boatyard. They also have some ships that were working as supply vessels or defense vessels even back when it was a colony for Spain. They also have the last lighthouse tender, the Coast Guard, the USCG Fear, I believe that was the name of it, or Fur. And they have a beautiful scale model, very large scale model of the actual original lighthouse complex itself. Some of these ships I was completely unaware of, like the lighthouse tender Fern. And they've got the whaling ship, the Cape Cory, because whale oil was what was used to power the lighthouse before the days of electricity. And they had to carry about 30 pounds of the stuff up completely all the way up the lighthouse, which, trust me, is no small feat, which we'll get into in a little bit. One of the things I really like about this display is they give you a nice, clean, easy to read history of the ships that are here. They even have one of the Golden Hind, which I forgot to take a picture of the whole ship. I took a photo of the sign and forgot to back up and get a picture of the ship. Silly Max. You go right out of that into the Shipwreck Artifact Conservation Lab, and a lot of the stuff in here, of course, is just, it looks like a National Geographic special, all the equipment that's for restoring the stuff. They have a few small items on display in there. It's a laboratory, and of course you're behind glass. You can't go wandering around in there. After this, I went over to the lighthouse keeper's home, which was provided for him. And I think this is a pretty good job because that's a really nice house, given the time and area that it was built in. And there's an upstairs, a ground floor, and a below ground. But you walk through all of the rooms, and it's a time capsule. But when you go downstairs, that's laid out more like a museum with a lot of artifacts on display, including some old brown bess muskets and a lot of the history of the area. And you forget that we're talking about the Spanish, the British, and then later the Americans. And I did not realize how active this was during the Revolutionary War. They also had this room that you can't go in. There's just one little opening in there that had like paper ships hanging there. I don't know if that was something they did back then or what. Regrettably, you realize that a lot of this, despite all the cool artifacts, the cannons and everything, a lot of this area has a pretty dark history in a lot of ways. So the last thing I did was the lighthouse itself. I believe it was 288 steps to get up there, and I was already pretty tired. Started making my way up, taking a lot of photos on the way, but about 3/4 of the way up, I got a call. Everyone was ready to go, and I was like, you know what, I was worn out. I think I'd hit my limit anyway. So I decided, I don't have to go up the I used to fly over this all the time. I know what it looks like up there, so I'll just take some pictures from where I'm at. And yes, the tower defeated me, but I'm glad I came down when I did because I was sore enough as it was. I was already tuckered out from running around. But there's all kinds of interesting factoids on the different floors and stuff. And I tell you what, it'd be a great place to film a movie, especially some kind of creepy horror for like, ooh. And yes, this area is famous for its ghosts. So when we were done with that, we went to the hotel. Then we went out for dinner, and we decided to go ahead and run down the tourist thing in St. Augustine. We did go to Pizza Time, which was recommended to us, but unfortunately it was closed for repairs. The coolest place we saw, because a lot of these shops sell the same stuff, a lot of interesting t-shirts and stuff, as you would expect, because it's very touristy. But the Steampunk Trunk is a genuine standalone place. They had this cool artist one-off made rocket, which I don't know, I can go back and get that sometime. That was pretty cool. A lot of wild stuff in there. So if you're planning a St. Augustine visit, I'd put the Steampunk Trunk on the list of places to check out. I was happy to find out when we got home that my flocker was here, so I can start making better dioramas with the static electricity in the grass. Alright guys, that's what I've got for right now. I'll run the rest of the pictures after the outro along with the unapologetic cat video. You take care of yourselves guys, and as always, model on.
You think I'm acting strange today? Got my quirks on full display. Been practicing my royal way from my throne beside the window pane. There's something I should probably say about this crown upon my brain. I know it sounds a little wild, but hear me out, just wait and see. I'm the king of cats, can't you tell? They follow me around so well, purring at my royal feet, making my domain complete. I'm the king of cats, yes it's true. Every tabby, every blue, bow down to my majesty. That's just just how it's meant to be. Watch me prowl around this place. Every feel I know's my face. I speak their secret language now. Meow means yes, and purr means how. They bring me gifts of feathers bright, crown me ruler every night. You're looking at me like I'm mad, but this is real, just wait and see. I'm the king of cats, can't you tell? They follow me around so well, purring at my royal feet, making my domain complete. I'm the king of cats, yes it's true. Every tabby, every glue, bow down to my majesty. That's just how it's meant to be. From the alley to the park, I rule from dawn until it's dark. My summer in the hundreds, my subjects numberless. Cause my kingdom can't be sundered. I'm the king of cats, can't you tell? They follow me around so well, purring at the royal feet, making my domain complete. I'm the king of cats, yes it's true. Every tabby, every blue, bow down to my majesty. That's just how it's meant to be. So when you see me walking by, just remember I'm the guy who rules the cats, king of cats, who rules the cats. Meow.